Okay, today we're covering aerosols for the youth guns, and that can be the Psm45, the Red Ryder. Okay, now I was put in a tight box here, so this is an interesting video. Had young shooters say they're going to use an aerosol, and if I don't give them another choice, they're going to use WD-40. Now this is WD-40 in liquid form, and just a real quick note on formulation, 50% of this is mineral spirits. Now, I'm not saying that's paint remover, but it is related. Okay. Now, what I want you to look at is, we're going to gently get in here and zoom in on that, is the bottom of that container. Now, the bottom, there you go, you can see that. Okay, so the bottom of that container has a bunch of sediment in it, and that's part of the formulation. Now, the guys at the gun shop actually do have WD-40 in small aerosol cans, and they do use it. And they said you can get away with a lot in a Red Ryder, but you don't need all that in your gun. Also, a quick note, this is why they say to shake it, whether it's a spray can or the liquid like this. You have to shake it to get the formulation up in here. For what is it good for? Like tools, like I use outside, wiping off tools, cleaning it, and using a wet wipe to keep the rust off, meaning wipe it wet and stop. But okay, so young kids said, hey, they're either going to use WD-40 or I can give them another choice. So obviously the guys at the gun shop said go with Ballistol because it is a classical German oil designed from its birth to do a lot of things and not harm anything. And that includes the seals in these guns, which are resistant to mineral oil. Okay, so we took a look at WD-40. Now let's go ahead and look at the solution here for someone who's determined to use aerosol in these youth rifles. And remember, we're only talking these little spring guns like this. Okay, I want to make sure this is a very tight box for this video. Okay, so this little can of Ballistol is a little cutie. You know, it's not the cheapest stuff. This was about $6 from my favorite gun shop. But like the guy said, they're going to put you in that box. So let's go over how we would take care of this for the Red Ryder. So, okay, so the first thing we do is we use a rag, and you can use an aerosol, or like I prefer to do it, have an 1.5 ounce bottle, the liquid Ballistol. I dip it on there. Let's go through the motions here, so I just clean this, make a little swirl, and then get it on here. And when the magazine is empty, so 600 shots, like clockwork, I wipe down the gun. It beautifies it, put a nice glisten on this thing. It really does have a nice shine. And then now, because I actually tested this aerosol and it worked so well in my Model 12, I switched over. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Okay, so there's the oil hole. You put it in there, give it one puff, and that's it. Like the guys at the gun shop joke, any more than that, you're just wasting oil. It doesn't hurt the gun. But you give it one puff like that. Okay. Hold on. And then we come back out. So again, one puff. Put it in there, one puff, and then I flip it around, and I go on each side of the trigger and work it, and then go shoot the gun. And I do that after every magazine, then I reload it. Okay, so that has been, I've been using Ballistol on that Red Ryder for 3 years with a needle nose, and it has been doing really well. But the aerosol is so simple and so effective, I switched over, and here's a needle nose. Okay. The problem with the needle nose with some shooters, again, I want to make it clear, if you're comfortable using needle nose, that's fine. And older shooters have been doing that for a long time, but there are people that get frustrated. They don't know if they're oiling it enough. They just have that frustration. So I actually have switched over now to using this little guy because I definitely know I'm getting oil in there in the performance of the gun. So anything that like runoff comes down the gun, you just wipe it off or into your wood, and it doesn't harm anything. And with some of the other jam issues in the gun, having more oil back here is not a bad idea. Okay, so I'm also excited to talk about the Psm45. So with this, I'm decided to go all Ballistol City. Now, some of the older viewers see me jumping around from oil to oil, but I'm just going to tell you that the wipe down, it sticks to the metal and the plastic. Put it on the safety. Put it on the slide joints. I use the needle nose for that right here. And I put it right here on the catch point. And also I want to make a very special note about the top of this. Let me see if I can... Okay, there we go. Okay, Ballistol is the only lube I found that when I put it on top here, this crucial part that you want to preserve, the plastic prongs on top, is the only lube that stops it from chafing, because the loader comes over the top, comes through here and chafes that. And Ballistol is the only one that I've seen actually severely slow it down and really protect that plastic from chafing. And so I just, when I see it starting to chafe, I just put a little dab on there and let it dry on there. So yeah, so I'm going Ballistol City with this. Also, I want to talk about a little trick that I learned. Okay, so my gun was starting to lose power. Okay, so hang with me here. Okay, let me get it in there. All right. And see that part that comes up there? That is the catch on your piston. I get in there with the Ballistol and then a puff in the tube. And I did that around 1,200 shots because I was losing power with this Psm45. So I get in there. I see that catch point on the piston. I give it a puff. Give another puff inside the power tube. And it's easy with that straw. You hit home. Just one puff, guys. And let me show you the can. So what I was having, I had problems with this gun. It was starting to lose power. I was cleaning up, finishing off some black diamonds, and was starting to hit here, down here, actually around here. And so I shot it, and I made sure that this is after many shots, so it wasn't temporary. So I put the sight right underneath there, and it's all grouping up here. 6 shots at 5 yards, quick shooting. This is an excellent gun for its class. 6 shots, 6 hits, 4 penetrations. 2 shot through and 1 cracked it open. So big jump in performance. It jumped with the sight underneath the can. It jumped back to the way it was when I first got the gun. Okay. Now, so that's that. And remember the origins of the video for people who are determined to use aerosol. You know, you can use needle nose otherwise. So okay. So now for the Model 12, this is exciting. For me, this is what made me change that little aerosol for these spring guns. Okay. I put it in there. I heard it radiate through the tube. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I won't zoom in. You can see pretty clearly right there. After 500 shots, it's 250 BBs per magazine. I put, after 2 magazines, I gave it a little shot in here. I felt it radiate through the air tube in there, and the performance really picked up. And then a trick I did want to pass on to the Model 12 owners. I was having problems getting anything done without Marksman BBs. And then I went ahead and, yeah, let me get in there. I put some lube. Here, let me show you. Okay. I put some lube, actually, here, let me get the light on there. I put some lube on those BBs right there and towards the bottom. And the next thing I know, I was getting spectacular results. So here, let me show you. I put some lube right here after refilling the magazine, right here between the 2 BBs with a needle nose. And whatever it did to the loading area of this gun, because there are moving parts back there, I was able to switch back to Daisy BBs with much better accuracy at 6 and 7 yards, which is where this gun does well without Marksman's. So I thought I would pass that on. But yeah, so after 500 shots, 2 magazines, I wipe it down with Ballistol, stick that in there, give it a puff. And then on this one, the sear is in front of the trigger blade, so I gave it a, you can do that. I personally use a needle nose, and what I really prefer on this really rough trigger, it's like a Marksman, is I get in front with liquid Ballistol and give a few drops. And anything that comes back, whether it's from the power plant or from that sear oiling, comes back here, and you just wipe it off. Okay, well, thank you, and Ballistol is the way to go. And I invested in a big dog and this little guy, and I'm using this exclusively now, my little spring guns. All right, it has definitely worked out. And the guys at the gun shop, like I said, doesn't hurt anything, and it's been around for 100 years. Do a lot of good and does not harm anything, doesn't harm these guns. Thank you.